Story number 1. Carol's Night. My scary experience happened during my last year in high school. As a tradition during Christmas in our school, my teachers organised caroling to raise funds for some of the school activities. For those who don't know, we go house to house, sing Christmas songs, and the house owners give us some money, but no obligation. Caroling session is normally done at night. Just to give you an idea of my location, we are in a rural place in the countryside. The roads aren't cemented, no street lights, houses are far from each other. Rice fields, lots of those. At night, people are normally home, so you can either hear the crickets or dogs. So, this one night of our caroling, about 12 of us in the group, one teacher, and the rest are my classmates. We started around 7 to 8 p.m, and since our meeting place is at my teacher's house, we started our caroling at nearby houses. We were just walking to go from each place to another. About 2 hours passed, and it's also getting late at night. We reached this place with a particular old big tree just around the corner of a street. I heard a lot of ghost stories, especially about White Lady. Before we arrived there, we walked about 15 minutes where there's nothing but rice fields. We walked past this tree, and we are all very scared. But luckily, none of us felt anything weird. So, we continued walking, but still we have this eerie vibe. I only saw 2 or 3 houses in the area with lots of big trees. We stopped on the first house and we started singing our Christmas song. After a while, we saw one of our classmates crying without any reason. Some of them tried to calm her down, but she couldn't be stopped. She didn't say anything, just crying and getting louder and louder. Moments later, she looked at me and told me to not look at the tree. She said that she saw a capre with red eyes, smiling and looking at me. The capre is a big man with hair all around its body, like a monkey, and it lives in a tree. At this time, I felt super scared, and I almost fainted. I was also crying that time, and I didn't dare to look at that tree, not even a glance. My group decided that we leave that place immediately. So we walked back and spent the rest of the night at our school, which is about a 1.5 hour walk. At the school, we all stayed in the one room on the second floor. It's an ordinary classroom, so each of us chose the most comfortable place to sleep. Surrounding this classroom, there are big trees. There are glass windows on one side of the wall. In the middle of my sleep, I was awoken up because my whole body in my chair was shaking, and it was shaking very strong. I know I was awake, and it wasn't a dream. I didn't open my eyes because I was so scared. It lasted for about 3 minutes. My arms and legs were so numb. I just ignored it, and I fell back to sleep later on. Until now, I'm still not quite sure what happened that night. Story number 2. Fireworks. Christmas of 2007. I was in second grade. I wasn't easily scared by anything then, more so when I'm with someone. Could be why me and my neighbour were able to go to the cemetery in the middle of the night. I'd call my neighbour Dan here. He was 5 years older than me during this time. I was able to come across Dan the night of Christmas when I went out to pee. I saw him on the roof of their house, waiting for the fireworks. He called me over and I joined him. But I got disappointed with the view being obstructed by roofs and treetops. We talked for a while and then he had this crazy idea. He suggested that we climb the cemetery instead to see the fireworks. To explain things, our town cemetery was on the side of a mountain that was a minute walk from where our homes were, and it's a short distance hike to reach the top. Probably 10 or 15 minutes. Maybe what convinced me the most is how Dan looked excited rather than scared. That was why I agreed to go with him. Without a flashlight in hand, and only counting on the moon and lights leaking from houses, we proceeded. We didn't even have second thoughts when we were at the foot of the mountain. We just went up, passing graves and tombstones through a narrow dirt path. During our hike, the fireworks began. We paused to watch. Then Dan urged that we should hurry to see them in full view. But even in our rush, I knew that we couldn't make it to the top. I suddenly remembered, somewhere midway of the cemetery trail, there is a flat clearing with a grave in the middle, overlooking the whole town and the city. I forgot how to get there, so I told Dan and he quickly pointed the way. We went off track, and we even had to jump and slip through the tall grass. When we finally reached it, the view was worth it, and even to this day, I still believe that. In that moment of short joy, we failed to notice that the moonlight was long gone, hidden behind clouds. It was noisy, and suddenly it was quiet in the blink of an eye. I think Dan tried to be brave then, but couldn't hold the spooks in. We both realized we were in the cemetery in the middle of the night. He told me to run, and I 100% agreed. We were laughing as we hurried back to the trail. We reached those tall grasses, and Dan made the first jump, making a loud rustle. It was the same when I did it, and we both increased our speed when we heard a third rustle go through those grasses. I didn't even see what it was. I and Dan completely knew that we just needed to run. We were laughing still, of course, asking each other who or what was that made that last jump. But neither of us dared to look back. I could hear the footsteps behind, and they were wet, as if whoever was chasing us was soaked all over. Dan at one point did turn his neck to look, and he just got faster, like he hit third gear or something. We landed at the bottom of the mountain eventually. My throat felt so dry and it was painful to breathe. I don't know why, but whatever was chasing us didn't go all the way. It would have caught up since me and Dan both stopped when we reached the highway. I asked Dan what it was again because he seemed really terrified when he looked at it. Dan took his time to think. It was a dead woman, he said. He explained that the only thing that looked alive was the dead woman's legs when it was chasing us. Other than that, the rest of its body was drooping down, flailing aimlessly. From time to time, I think about that night. I asked Dan about it for the last time before he moved away to work under their church and continue his studies, and he would simply laugh, saying that he had just been messing around. At some point, I believed him, since I didn't even see it with my own eyes. Maybe there was nothing there. But those wet footsteps and his terrified face, I guess maybe he just wanted to forget about it, if it actually was real all along. Story number 3. Christmas break chills. It was a cloudy afternoon. Christmas break had just begun, and kids in our village were so excited. They were all outside their homes, playing different kinds of games, myself included. Eventually, I became tired, so I decided to get myself home to have a drink. As I entered the house, I heard my brother asking my sister to take a photo with the camera of her new Nokia phone. While I was having a glass of water, my brother positioned himself beside the Christmas tree. I went behind my sister to have a closer look. However, just before my sister took the shot, I saw a woman passing behind my brother. She was wearing a white vane and a white dress. Her eyes were all white. I mean, yes, she didn't have a pupil. It made my eyes wide open. I asked my sister if I could have a look at my brother's photo, but she said that she deleted it with a scared look on her face. This second story took place a few years after my first experience. My mother gave me a Walkman that has a flashlight as a Christmas gift, which I was very fond of. Ever since I was a kid, I was already suffering from insomnia. I would fall asleep about 2 or 4 in the morning, which, of course, gave me the habit of waking up late. It was about 3 days after Christmas when this weird thing happened. It was past 12 midnight, and I was still wide awake. Listening to the FM radio of the Walkman, it started to bore me, since all of the stations started playing old songs which I can't relate to. I remembered my Walkman's flashlight and started playing with it, turning it on and off. I got out of bed, headed to the bathroom and pointed my flashlight and started flickering it, waving my hand all around, which gave the light a disco ball effect. Because the whole house was totally dark, I really did enjoy playing with my Walkman's flashlight. I began to feel tired and sleepy, so I decided to go back to my room. I laid down my bed facing the wall, and I listened to the songs on the radio. Because I was so fond of my Walkman's flashlight, I still continued flickering it on and off. When I turned the light on, something made me stop from doing so. In the button's reflection, I saw someone, or something, behind me, standing at the edge of my bed. It was a faceless woman in a white dress and shoulder-length hair. She was just there, standing behind me. I guess she's just staring at me. I was frozen and can't move in fear. My blanket was covering my feet and I can't even grab it to cover myself. I forgot how long I was staring at her, but I remember turning off the light and I began to grab my blanket and I prayed until I fell asleep. The next few years, my cousin joined a choir in our church within the village. We were just sharing stories until she mentioned that she has two gifted co-choir members, Kuya Jeff and Kuya Meggie, not their real names. My cousin said that Kuya Meggie informed her that there are someone with us in our house. My cousin freaked out and asked who. He said that one of them was a faceless, shoulder-length hair woman hanging around the kitchen. Kuya Jeff confirmed it and said that he always sees the woman whenever they held their practices in our house. I was shocked. That girl was real and not just something of my imagination, like my mother used to tell me. From then on, I always had that eerie feeling that someone was always watching me.